it's a very rare thing.
Yeah.
But it exists, and people are more and more, I think, beginning to, I guess, use it in a sense of doing things out of love. But most people today are in their brain and don't do that. So yeah, most people do things just because, you know, it's personal gain. Very few, but people do, some people do live in their heart and do things out of love. And I think that's where we're going as a species. This is another one of those points. Scientists have actually learned that the heart has brain cells in it. So you can actually think with your heart. And when you're in your heart, it's a whole different understanding of reality. It's you're understanding the oneness with everything. You are one with everything. And you can do things out of love. And love isn't just like an emotion. Love is a frequency. And it's also a different experience of love altogether as well. You do things because out of love ultimately, and when you think with your heart, you perceive with your heart, and you think and act with your heart as well. It's all going to depend on the individual, I feel. Right now, it's just kind of, everything's really up in the air as a potential, or many potentials, because there's a lot of different aspects that are kind of at work here. I mean, we have, for example, Occupy Wall Street. You know, we have people all over the world wanting a global revolution. So this is going to manifest into something new. We also have, of course, the global elite who are planning the hoaxed alien attack, which we're going to look at in Curious Consciousness, as well as, you know, implementing a one world government. So that's, you know, those are two forces now that are going to be fighting each other. We also have a group of the Occupy Wall Street people and people all over the world who are also beginning to wake up to the spiritual nature and are going to want to, or are going to go through a process called ascension. Ascension is probably the most alluring one, but also the most, you just can't know. This is the one that's just hard to, it's so impossible to try and figure out how everything is going to work, because ascension is basically bringing your entire body into a new vibration. It's changing frequencies, it's changing dimensions. And I mean, some people have said that ascension is just going to magically happen in 2012. The entire planet is just going to go and like shoot up into the next frequency. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be more of a personal thing. I think sometime in between the next probably 30 years, and maybe even, and probably even beyond that, you know, different frequencies will open, different ones will close, and it'll kind of create kind of like stargates or opening like wormholes into different frequencies. And I think that's mostly what's going to be through, and it'll depend on the individual. So there's the third option, and I mean that's only three of hundreds, literally, of different aspects that are all kind of intertwined and happening all at once. So I think, I mean, I kind of see the whole human race kind of, or the whole reality we live in is probably going to split off into three different sections. One is going to be probably the ones who ascend, one is going to be the ones who stay on Earth, and maybe even actually, you know, depending on how these revolutions go, create a whole new Earth to live on, you know, where everyone thrives. And some, you know, there could be a suppression, there could be, you know, there's some aliens, there's been many alien interviews that I've actually read that have actually said that, you know, they intend on taking many people off the planet, like The Coming of Tan is a good one, an Alien Interview, another good book. So there's just a lot of different things, so I can't say anything for certain, but there's definitely, it's going to get really intense in the next little while, I'm sure of it. There's a source I've been looking into lately, which is actually Chelantic Sciences, and it's a very, very in-depth science. But the information, like there's no doubt in my mind that the information is valid, but the person who is getting the information doesn't really know how to teach it. So it's just kind of, she's just like, you know, putting like walls and walls of text in all of these books, and you really have to just decipher this intense language, and it's not really structured as like a teaching, you know, in a way that's easy to understand. But what's interesting is that her, you know, Chelantic Sciences and that work is kind of saying that in 2012, there's a lot of energy frequency changes that are happening, but it's not going to be cataclysm. We're not going to get earthquakes. We're not going to get, you know, end of the world stuff, and the planet's not just going to go and change frequencies. But apparently, according to this work, is that this is when new frequencies are coming into the planet to a point where it's going to be the beginning of the ascension process. If anyone is able to ascend, anyone at their own really high frequency will be able to transition through that, and actually just, it'll appear as though they're just disappearing, but that's not really what's happening to the individual. They're just experiencing a complete change of bodily frequencies. So it's definitely possible, but I think most importantly, I think we need to look at all of this information as a whole and say, you know, what do we make of it? What does it mean? And you know, where are we going to take this? Because there are just innumerable factors that we can that need to be discussed, really, and need to be looked at. And everyone has a little piece of the puzzle, basically. And I think the trick is not to say that this piece is the answer, but the trick is to take all of the pieces and say, all right, how do these fit together? You know, what doesn't work? You know, what can we throw in? And ultimately, it's up to the individual to decide that. So, you know, no one person can say this is exactly how it is. You have to. It's up to the individual to look at all of it and say, well, you know, this resonates. You know, this doesn't resonate. Get rid of it, and make their own mental understanding of what's going to happen and follow through with that. Well, this is actually a Himalayan golden herkimer, and it's a very rare crystal, and a very wonderful woman gave it to me, Jillian Kane, I believe her name is, and she was just, I mean, we went and visited her just very recently and met with her, and she has just tons of crystals all over her house. And I remember we were looking at all of them, and I picked up this one. It was actually on a broken necklace, and we both of us at the same time just kind of had a feeling. She was like, "Oh, I think that one's meant for you," and I was like, "I kind of feel it. I feel the same way. Like it was just, there was something about this crystal." So I held on to it for the evening, and she was like, "Yeah, no, it's yours. You have to take it." And what's really cool about it is that it's got a bit of oil like frozen in it. If you can get a close up, or not frozen, I guess. With the crystal grew around this little like different spots of oil, so it's a very rare crystal and very powerful. Like I can really feel the energy just emanating out of it, and it actually creates like a protective aura around me, I guess you could say. So I really love it, and actually it replaced the Flower of Life necklace, which is I gave to a friend of mine, Vanessa. So it's just the cycle of moving crystals around, I guess. I don't think that I'm like necessary or needed or anything. That's like, I'm not a messiah figure, you know. Like I'm not here to bring about this great change. I'm just another soul who is living here at this time, and I wanna help. I wanna contribute. You can have, do, or be anything you want, and you cannot let anyone else, you know, tell you can't, because the only thing stopping you from doing, having, being anything you want is yourself. And if you know that you can, you can. Keep your feet on the ground, but your head in the clouds. So, like, think big. I'm Jordan, and I'll see you later.